Hey there everybody, I've got a ton of new book recommendations for y'all because I have not been able to post in a while, but I have not stopped reading. So if y'all are looking for a new LitRPG series to check on out, then this is the video for y'all. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Fantasy Inc., everybody. My name is Wyeth, and I am sorry. I've been unable to post for about a month and a half now, other than the Ghost Town video that just came out because that was on the back burner. I've had some things to do at work. Things have gotten a little hectic over here at the house, but all good news, not bad news. But I'm not going to get into the personal life. That's not why you come here. Y'all come here for the book recommendations, and though I haven't been able to do as much editing as I would like to, it has not kept me from reading. I've been able to read a ton of new series over the past few weeks, and I am happy to share those recommendations. Now, to give y'all a bit of an itinerary for this video, I've got 5 new series that I've been able to check on out over the past few weeks, as well as some ones that I've reread, and I'll go ahead and jump back on the soapbox for recommendations with. So I'm going to go ahead and start with those. The 3 series that I definitely picked back on up to reread to save on Audible credits, because Lord, it is getting expensive, are Defiance of the Fall, Primal Hunter, and one of my fan favorites from my childhood, The Power of One. Now, a lot of y'all know the first 2 series. Defiance of the Fall and Primal Hunter are 2 of the top most popular LitRPG series / progression novel series out there. And for good reason. They are addicting, to say the least. They also have a ton of books on out. And I have a happy announcement. Defiance of the Fall book number 13 should be coming to Audible this June 26th, I believe. And that is another reason why I wanted to reread through the series. So if y'all did not know about that, I highly recommend for those big fans out there to at least pick up book 12 again, remind yourself of what's going on, because things are about to pop on off. And though Primal Hunter sadly does not have a book coming out via audio in the near future, I will give props to the author Zogarth. They are a fantastic writer, and they definitely do get these books out when they get the opportunity to, as well as when the schedules align up with the narrator and all the editing that goes into the process. Big recommendations for the both of those. I've got 2 videos right there going over each series, or at least the first book in those series. So if you have not checked those out, I highly recommend you pick those on up. Now, if you're looking for something that's actually not LitRPG, something that's actually kind of the furthest thing from it, I have to recommend one of my favorite books, and this is The Power of One. This was a book that I was forced to read in high school, and it was one of the only required reading books that I think I ever actually read. And I'm so thankful for the fact that I did it. It is a historical fiction novel about the plight of South Africa, with our protagonist being a young man named PK as he tries to understand the world around him, with the hidden racism and the not so hidden racism going on right before apartheid really kicks off in South Africa. And it is jaw-dropping. The amount of culture that Bryce Courtney puts into this book really shows you that he is a true South African, even though he moved to Australia in his young adult life. And a fun fact about this book series, it was actually his first book he ever wrote, and he had no intentions of publishing it, which he talks about if you download the audiobook. And I'm just in love with this series. It's probably the 4th time I reread it, so if you're looking for something different, this is definitely the one for you, though it is not for the faint of heart. Now, to jump into what y'all all been waiting for, here are the 5 LitRPG series recommendations that I have for y'all in this video. First and foremost, we have All the Skills. This book is written by Anna Ray, and it currently has 4 books out in the series. This book follows our protagonist Arthur, a child who is growing up in basically an indentured servitude village, where their job is to collect the dragon ash around in this said providence. And he has a very lucky encounter with a dragon that allows him to obtain a legendary card. Now, you can think of cards as in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, but opposed to having them in your deck, the deck is actually in your heart or sometimes in a sleeve. And with that, you obtain the powers that these cards allow. Though he's not given a fighting card, he is given a card that allows him to really do some cool things. If you can look at the title of the book, I think you'll be able to put two and two together. Arthur now is tasked with escaping from this village and trying to create a better life, while also trying to uncover the secrets that his father is keeping from him. And though this is not your standard LitRPG, since it is a deck building one, the magic system is very cool, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more out of this series as well as more out of Honor Ray. My next recommendation is going to be the series Dead Tired by Raven's Dagger. This series just actually dropped the second book, and it is an interesting one. It follows a lich named Harold, who reached the cap of leveling at level 100, I believe, and he decides to go ahead and sleep for a couple thousand years and wait for the world to get a little more interesting. And though he does not sleep as long as he wanted to, being awoken by an unlikely source, he decides to go ahead, walk around, and see what's happening on the outside, where he finds that it is no longer a world of science and magic, it is a world of cultivation. And though he did plan on going back to bed, he decides to actually take a little jaunt around the world to see all the new things that have popped up, because a few things have gained his interest. And I will let you know, these books are a little on the shorter side, and they are written in a really punny manner. Harold himself really enjoys puns, so if that's not up your alley, then it might not be the series for you. Though I have to say, it's very interesting to see a protagonist teaching a mentee after being on top of the world, and he has the ability to solve any situation he wants, but sometimes he decides to take the harder road opposed to the much easier one. So this is a very interesting character, to say the least. Up next is going to be Reborn Apocalypse by L.M. Kerr, with currently 5 books out. This one follows our protagonist Michael Kerr as he is fighting the last battle in hopes to save humanity, and it does not go very well. He sees basically the last of humanity fighting for their lives around him, and they are going to lose. After taking a wound, he is distraught, to say the least, and he makes a wish. And ironically, an item on his hip that he's had for many years ends up being a wish granter, and it allows him to send his memories back in time to when he was a young man just starting out. When he returns back in time, he is taken with a portion of humanity to a new space where they are tasked with defeating the 7 layers. And in this new universe, he has to hide in the shadows and try to fix events that happened that caused basically everything to go wrong from the start, fighting the monsters that spawn as well as the humans that conspire. So with all that said, I'm a big fan of this series, highly recommend it to check on out. Up next is going to be the Bort series, also known as Shopocalypse, by Damian Hansen, with 5 books out. The 5th book came out about a month ago, and it was spectacular. This series follows Tyson Dawes, a regular old Pastafarian who sees the world go through a big change when Bort comes to Earth. Basically, Bort is a nanobot-driven Amazon that is always in your face, that allows you to sell or buy anything in the universe. And when a new planet, aka New Earth in this case, is welcomed to the Bort market, they go through some big changes, and big changes meaning a lot of people end up dying. So Tyson Dawes is trying to make sure that he himself is able to live in this new world, but also he's trying to stake a little bit of land and a little bit of pride in Arizona to give a little beacon to the people trying to survive this new bull market rush. So this one is fantastic. If I had to say if it was like another series, I would say it's very similar to Dungeon Crawler Carl. So I know a lot of people love that series out there, so if you've not heard of this one, then I highly recommend it. And the last recommendation for this video is going to be Life Reset by Shamir Kuznets, a 6-book series that I'm currently on book 4. It follows Oren, our main protagonist, who is in a very submersive game where you go into the pods, think Ready Player One basically, and he is the leader of the most popular guild in New Era Online, aka Neo. And he's been running it for a few years now, and he has a few advantages that other players do not have. That is until he is betrayed and he's turned into a goblin, a mob character that are very difficult to play. Not for Oren. He has some advantages that allow him to play this character, and the only way he can make sure to not allow the people that betrayed him their vengeance completely is to play through. That is until he runs into some complications and is drawn completely into the game to where he cannot log out. This is definitely a grim-dark / gritty fantasy game-lit book series, and it's very, very good. You get to see the reactions of what it's like to be running a clan of monsters, as well as, I will say, this book is very, very world-built driven. A lot of the time, especially in the first 2 books, go into crop yields or breeding yields or really town device driven vibes. So if that is not up your alley, I do not recommend you pick this series on up, because there's a lot of chapters just going on how to make his clan much more efficient with how it's run in this game world. Now, if that does sound like something interesting to you, I have not run into a series that does it as well as this one does. And I will say the payoff in book 3 at the end of it is fantastic. And now we're jumping into book 4 through 6, so I have pretty high hopes to see where this series goes from here, and I cannot wait to read more. So I do appreciate everyone's patience with getting these videos out. I'm sorry for the wait. I'll try to do better. My goal is to at least get one video out every 2 weeks from now on, though I hope this one does tide y'all over for a little bit of time. If you have already checked out 1 or 2 of these series before, feel free to jump in the comments below. Let the other audience members know your thoughts on it, so that might be the whole reason that they go ahead and try something new out, because books can be pretty expensive, as we all know. With that said, I do appreciate everyone's time. I hope all of y'all have a fantastic rest of the day, and be sure to keep reading.